What up? I know, third one today. You know, it's interesting. Hi. I get this message today at work, and they need a fill-in for the treatment center that I attended. They need somebody to come and speak. A shout out to my work for supporting my recovery. And it was like 2 hours before, you know, the thing. And I got to close. And they need me to close, you know. And so at first I messaged, man, it's too short a notice. And then I talked to my boss and said, hey, man, they need to fill in short notice. Can I go? And he looks at me and he says, yeah. You know, he jokes, but he says, yeah, go do your thing. They understand, and I love that I work for a company that understands that I'm called upon this, and I can go back in there. I went when I had almost a year clean to go back to that place, and something about going in there and seeing the walls, the ground, the smell, seeing the faces, sitting in that circle in that place, but this time giving back. And, you know, driving up there, I didn't, like, prepare anything. I just prayed, listened to some music, and just drove up. I mean, I don't really have a problem talking anyways, right? But to be able to go do this on spur of the moment and get in there and then see how... I saw somebody, a counselor in there, or TA or whatever, I think they're called TAs. He looked at me and he was like, bro, I didn't even recognize you. You look fucking amazing. And he gave me a big ass hug and he's like, I knew you were one that was going to make it, you know, and it just, and then the guy next to me who spoke, and he was also a TA in there. I remember on my coin out, he sat in my coin out, and I remember him telling me, dude, I have a good feeling about you, you know, like, and just to feel the love from the two guys that were in there when I was fucking patient, and then just, you know, I'm sitting there, and I'm like, what am I, you know, and to just know that what I said, you know, like when we were done and getting hugs from these guys, that, like, you know, I did a message this morning. I didn't know that I was going to get called to go do this right now, but it's titled to the still suffering addict out there struggling, you know, a message of hope, to let them know that, like, fucking they can make it. And then to be called upon this, like, that's how God works for me, right? He's like, all right, man, let's do this. And to just go in there and know that, you know, this is my purpose. You know, I'm not saying going into treatment centers and speaking is my purpose, but like, it felt right and it felt good to go in there and just let them give them a little bit of hope, and not really talk about like what I've gotten or any of that. Just let them know where I was when I got in there and how it was, and it was my third time, and how I had multiple years, and I was in there defeated, and I took it fucking serious every fucking day. It was just about recovery in there, and how I was, you know, and I'm fired up and I feel great because I did this. And anytime I go in there, man, it's like using the bathroom, the smell in there with bleach, and, you know, sitting in that fucking chair, and it was a meeting platform, so listening to the, you know, we're all some of the literature at the beginning of each meeting, and just sitting there so grateful that I'm not in there anymore, and remembering, like, it's like it all came back to me. Remembering how I felt, and like this last time I was in there, how I felt, you know, like how we all have a fucking chance, and how I had to change everything in my life, people, places, things, just, and when I think back to like all of the work I put into today, the fucking sober living home, all the shit, to how I feel today, with everything I've got going on, and how and then I'm driving out of there, you know, I'm looking up at the sky. I always like to give myself this like picture. I stare at that church that's right across from it. There's always a church and a fucking, to my knowledge, every treatment center has a church next to it, and it also has the psych ward next to it. You know, and that one does, at least. And I've been there twice. And I always looked at that church, and then I looked at that other place, and I was like, yeah. Because like, and it just like, I don't know, like, I don't want to go into too much detail there, but I do know this, there's some significance to seeing that today. And just like, you're looking up and not saying you're funny, but looking up and saying, I get it, trust, just trust, bro. And something about today when I left and driving, and I remember when I was in my first treatment center, like, I had totaled my Charger, and I'm sitting in there, and I'm like, fuck, man, I don't have my car anymore. And I remember one of the guys saying, man, you'll get it all back, you know. And then like, I'm getting in my car, and one of the guys, you know, I bought some tobacco for him. I always like, that's like my part. I like to do that because I know that some of them don't have cigarettes, so like, asking for a cigarette is fucking shitty. So now, at least for the next however many days, somebody doesn't have to ask for one. I saw somebody bring it in one time, and so I told myself, if I ever come back here, I'm going to bring tobacco with me. And you know, I was the official roller. I wanted to always roll for these guys, and so now I just give, you know. But I don't know, man. This felt so fucking good to go up in there and just, you know, just give them some hope. I could see it in their eyes, man. I just have faith in these guys, you know. Like, I was like, fuck the statistics, bro. Like, every single one of you motherfuckers can make it, you know. God, I remember what it was like in there. Just a little grain of hope, like, fuck, man, I know I got a chance. And I needed that. I really needed that call. I really needed to go into that today. I really needed that fucking reminder. Not like I feel like getting loaded. I haven't shared that. Just, I needed that reminder of like, yo, remember why you're doing this. You know? Remember why you're doing this. So yeah, I'm so fucking glad I went in there today. I wasn't expecting that. It wasn't like I got the call and I've been preparing for that. It just happened. And I said yes. Well, I asked, and then they said, and then I said, yes, I'll be in there. And Fuck, it feels good. I love that place. I'll always love that place. Fuck, man, today started off feeling a certain way. And it's not over yet, but it's almost, and you know. And I got to talk to my brother today. He called me. My brother called me. He sounded fucking so strong. You know, you could just tell he's been beat the fuck down, man. And he's just like, just the things he's had to say to me. Robert, if you're watching this, you sound fucking amazing, dude. Proud of you, man. Just having that conversation with him, you know, hearing what he had to say to me, hearing him tell me he's proud of me. I've been told so many times in my past that people don't change. And some people don't, man. That's the reality of it. People say they're going to change. You pray for them. You know, and they do at first. They might do like a little here or there. But if a person isn't willing to fucking really put in that work, if I wasn't willing to really put in the work, like I got in there, man, and my kids were like, what the fuck is going to be different before I got in there? And I said, I'm not going to be in that relationship anymore. And I'm going to go move into an Oxford house. He said, you did that. And then they just saw little by little. Like, everything. And now it's like the people that are close to me can count on when I say I'm going to do something, because I do it. And I show them. And I go above and beyond. And change requires action. Like, I'll say fucking bullshit all day long, but unless I put in that fucking work and the action, and I'm doing it for myself, and I'm looking in the mirror seeing me change, I'll always revert back to the way I was. It's just the way it is. We get fucking comfortable. I have decided, and I've set this lifelong journey that I've done over the last almost 2 years, that I am going to constantly get uncomfortable. So I'll hike to a high peak. I'll go to some party that I don't really want to go to. Eat some nasty ass chips. I'll do all these different things, because I used to say that, yeah, I'll change. And for just a few minutes there, or moments, sure, I'd act a little different. And then I would just start getting comfortable. And I had to hear somebody tell me, you're never gonna fucking change. And then I had to look at myself in the mirror and say, let's fucking do this, and do it. And so I hope I continuously change. This fucking tattoo on my arm right here, this one right here, represents Kaizen. Continuous improvement. If I don't live my life in continuous improvement, and I get stagnant, I'm back to where I was. I'm so afraid of fucking getting stagnant that I'll continuously improve, continuously do things. Because I'm really good at getting fucking comfortable and then just reverting. And that's what it's taken for me. And so, yeah, a lot of talking today, a lot of these videos today, but you know what? I don't give a fuck. Okay, I give a fuck. But whatever. It's my shit. So, yeah, I'm really grateful I went in there today. And I'm really fucking proud of myself for where I'm at today. And I'm really happy with everything that's happened so far. I'm so grateful for each season of life, every uncomfortable fucking moment, every worry, every doubt, all of it. And I'm grateful of where I'm going. And I feel like I can go. I feel like I'm not quite ready yet, because I still have the season that I'm dealing with, where there's ups and downs, but I do like how I handle them. And I do feel like God is like, okay, you walk through that shit, man, I got you. Here's the next thing. I feel like God gives me a struggle, a season. It's heavy. I walk through it. I don't get loaded. I don't get nothing. And I walk through it and I praise Him. And then He's like, okay, here's some reward. And now here's some struggle. and I have faith that that the rewards ahead of me are super big. And so are the struggles that are attached with them. And I still have faith in some other shit. I do. But I'm trusting God that on God's time things will happen. And I've always been the one to force the things. And lately I've just been like, have of me. Have of me. And I love it. I've been able to experience my favorite things ever in these last year and 7 months. My favorites. I wouldn't take them back for nothing. And more is to be revealed and more is to come. And I have faith in that. Some seasons will come back and some seasons will just be cherished. And I have faith in that too. And I'm good with whatever happens. And I had to learn that shit the hard way, and I'm learning it the hard way. But I am happy. And I do feel joy. And so, yeah,